Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eric Torshun. I'm the co-chair of this HR working group, together with my good friend Fabienne Zhao from Air France. Tonight we have a special workshop. We have actually two speakers, not only one. One major one is Yvon Russon from Song, and the guest star is Jonathan Chapon from Abacare. So Yvon is going to tell you about this fiscal reform that has already started in 2019, but will be fully implemented by the turn of next year on the 1st January of 2022. And later, Jonathan will talk about the insurance policy and all the implication that will follow. And of course, this is a topic that mixes both fiscal policies and HR management. So how the implication of this policy on the HR management practice of expatriates and also for some local people, but mostly for expatriated. So without any further ado, I will leave the floor to Yvon, but please turn off your mobile phone. Now, if you have to get a call, take the door, make your call, and then come back. Okay? Thank you very much.
Hi, thanks, Eric. I think I can. It's okay with that? So, sorry, first come to the topic. So, we will see the impact in your practice in human resources of the new fiscal regulation. So, which change we had with this new regulation? Which kind of impact you will need to face off? New challenges also, and how we can face it. So you know already some of them. So impact of allowances, also schools. But everybody is speaking about why about 2022, but 2022 is just a part of it. It was something before 2022. So residency, domiciliation, it's where also APP started. So we will see the regulation and also some, let's say, some possibilities. So about the regulation, here we have, we put the, let's say, the rules here. It was voted in December 2018 and started on the 1st January 2019. For foreigner, it will start not 1st January the 1st, 2022, but end of December this year. The main point of this regulation is no differences between Chinese national and foreigners. So it's no exception anymore for foreigners. Also, 2 points who are, let's say, put apart most of the time is the residency and domiciliation. With a big part of the regulation, because regulation was voted on the 18th, and the authority added on the regulation on the 15th. They were the last minutes to put the domiciliation point, okay? It's a very, I think, very important point. And for 2022, we'll arrive at the allowances and bonuses, things who I think most of you think about, but it's just a part of it. So, as I said, you will see, so for your employee in your company, you will need to see their personal situation, but also your internal situation. It will not be the same if you're an independent company or if you're a big group or a group in stock. So it will be very different channel or way it will impact you, but also ways you will need to find to have less impact on your retention, for example. So on which way you already impacted? Because as I said, you have residency and domiciliation. Take an example for French tax. You take first the residency and after you go for the domiciliation. Okay, so residency, you check if people pass more than 183 days in a country, and after you see is center of economic interest. So you do in two steps with the base in all worldwide regulation. But let's say China put it in another way. They check first the domiciliation and after the residency. With a big impact, because first we will check if the individual is domiciled or not. So if his economic interest is in China, before to check if he's a resident, is make things very, very different. Why? Because, for example, a Chinese who leave China, who's working outside China, he can still be taxable in China. So the rule is not made directly for foreigners. It's made for Chinese also going outside or change nationality. It's not only for foreigners. That's, I think, one of the points who is often mistaken is it's not for foreigners from the first place, it's for everybody. And the target is mostly for Chinese. So here, how it will, so already impacted by IT declaration, calculation, you faced off because you need to make you have the new calculation in 2019 about the scale, not only monthly but annually, also APP declarations, etc. So you already have this for Chinese. It will be the same for foreigners. Also allowances. So registration in accounting. When I said accounting, because allowances probably in your case in human resources, you don't take care all the time of how it's registered in the accounting side. But the thing it can have an impact on your retention, because, for example, you have a rent. How you register the rent, based on the way you register in accounting, it can be an allowances or not. So you need it probably to be much more cross sectors internally in the company to be able to make the retention happen. So one question I have often is, yeah, but it will not happen. We will pass. Nothing will be in place. It's already 2019. Why it will be happen? Okay, we saw nothing. I'm in China since 23 years. I saw a lot of things, moving, not moving, have possibilities to change, etc., etc. But things is before it was done top. So at the local level, they decide, and after it's going up. Now the difference is everything starts to be digitalized and is going top down. It happens last year for tax. In 2018, the tax office said directly all the database will be cross-checked, and we will go directly down to top down. And they prepare that for 2020, July 2020. It happens. Here, what is plain is to have, I said AI, but let's say it's much more robotization of information, so cross-check of database. And based on the OECD regulation, China have totally the right to have automatic exchange and demand to bank outside China and have information about foreigners or Chinese. So what they prepare, and they said in 2019, then it will be ready for the first semester 2021, is this automatization. So cross-check control based on the ITIN is what since several years everybody pushed on the ITIN. And every bank all around the world who don't register that, they can be challenged by OECD. So the system is used on this path, okay? And all the bank data, bank statement will be automatically transferred. So the company can face different kind of impact. So mostly, I put that, sorry. Yes, this for employee side, but on the employer side, you can face last minute negotiation about salaries. So you need to anticipate it. Also, sorry, core employee who want to leave because their tax is too high. We will see later on some way of calculation. The thing is, let's say an expat who have two child, probably he will put one at school. You know, short to make things the long thing short. Okay. Also, some have contract based on the net pay. So company should also compensate this part. So it will be a big burden for the company. Need to be rethink. And that's why I put a P&L impact here. Because for sure, it will be much more expensive. Difficulties of talent retention. Because some want to leave because China is too costly or not interesting anymore for them. So it should be prepared too. And also tension. Why? Because we do fiscal evaluation for a lot of tax advising, etc., for a lot of for customers and take back of 15, 20 people in some companies. And the thing is, it starts, a few months ago it wasn't. Now it starts to have some people who said, yeah, but you already know since 2 years. Why you didn't do anything before? So everybody thinks this rule will not come. But based on the digitalization and the reason of the rule, I think it's no meaning for the authorities to change it. Adapt it for some small points, and the authority already said they will do it in 2022, but for a small portion of it. So what should be assessed? The personal situation, so marital status, patrimonial situation, investment situation, cross-border activities. Why? Because a foreigner, based on the rule, a foreigner who is married to Chinese, for example, it's worldwide taxable. So his assets outside China is also taxable. So it will increase his level of tax. So you need to have an idea of it, because if not, if you have big assets outside, it can have an impact on his need or will to stay. So when you assess the personal situation, for sure you have a problem on your side, because you have some working ethics, how to ask one of your employees about his personal situation. Very difficult. And if you reply, you probably don't want to reply to all the questions or the information you need to assess. Private life information or withholding information. It happens also to us. Normally we are just apart, and sometimes we have people who don't want to give us the information. We do always a debrief when we do that, and yet the debrief, they said, yeah, but I didn't send you to this point and this point and this point, because they start to understand why it's interesting for them to make this kind of analysis. So for you, when you do the analysis, it's very difficult also to have this information. So how to manage it? Because at some point, when foreigner will have to declare through the app, so 2022, you will have the information. As you have information about Chinese, you have the information as soon as they declare in the application. You have information about their marital status. You have information if they have a child, if they have elder people they need to take care of, etc., etc. It will be the same. But probably much more tricky to manage with foreigners. So internal situation to assess, because it will not be the same way to manage it if you're a group or family-owned company or individual who set up his own business. Also, what will be the declaration scheme for school and rents? which kind of invoice you have, etc., is not your side in human resources, but you will need to be much more closer than people in accounting to know and to see what can be possible to do. And also how to manage expenses, because it depends on the contract. Some have special deduction for kind of expenses they have. So I think most of the Chinese know this application. It will be the same. So for foreigners, one of the things is up to now is not in English and probably will not be. So foreigners will also need help for most of them to be able to declare, because you need to know about your situation to be able to declare in it. Also, foreigner, we will need to go to the tax office to have this first password to be able to enter the application, okay? So the app, the app. And here, I want just to show something very quickly. It's a little bit messy, I know, but here you have the Shanghai website, okay, where you can after have your information about your tax as an individual. Here, the betting one, and here Guangzhou. The thing is, what you can see, I will do only for Shanghai. I put all of three there, but only for Shanghai I will do. Here you see this symbol, okay? You will find it here too. You will find in different applications, because all these databases now are cross-checked. So some think it can happen, but it's just a matter of proof. You already, this information already go all through one channel. It's the same you have for your application, for your QR code to go to a building, etc. Same application. So everything is cross-checked. It's very transparent. That's the point. So let's take, I don't know, timing, it's okay? It will be good for questions. I have an example here. So I have a German, easier. I think I will not push anybody here. So let's say German married to a German. 2 child, 2 and 8, and working permit and visa 2018. Okay? So here, some idea of the income you can have. We will use the same after. And here, salary paid in Germany. I will let you a few seconds to check about the income in the two sides. Here, this individual is resident. You have no link with China, no center of economic interest in China. No assets in China, no green cards, no spouse with Chinese. So here, 2018, 2021, that's mostly the taxable part, okay? Most of people are afraid about what will happen in 2022 for this reason. Why? Because you put all the allowances, all the rent, etc., etc. The thing is, this is a part of it. Allowances is a part of it. But in a rule for the domiciliation, it's another thing which is very clear. Before, the 5 years rule wasn't clear about foreigners stay for 5 years if they live for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days in a row, 30 days in a row, 90 days in a 5 years. We clean it. It wasn't clear. Now it's very clear. After 6 years, if you didn't left for 30 days in a row, you can be considered a domicile. And what can be happen? So most of the analysis today is not done for people, is made for people who are resident or non-resident. But the thing, as I explained, you can be domiciled. So the thing with domiciliation is everything will start. It's already started. Not in place because the authorities wait to have all the system, all the AI or robotization, digitalization in place. Which is not the case, but normally it will be the case this year. So we can't feel or see the impact. But the thing we will not feel it this year too. We will feel at the end of the year with the annualization. We'll feel it the first quarter 2022. I will take question after anyway. So some, let's say, some solution, some angles. I think it will be probably more clearer way to say it. For sure, you need to make an individual assessment of the people who are important for the company. This is clear. If you're not, you will do at the last time, and it will create tension and probably difficulties to have retention. So it's very important. It seems to be tax. Tax is the guy, the door there, the guy who will do the accounting. No, it's also your things. So for that, you need to anticipate the negotiation. One of the points and company try to do is also to adaptation of the shim between IT and CIT. I will not go in detail, but to think about make a mix in terms of contract. Some thinking about changing fiscal residency. This, it can be a good and bad idea at the same time. Why? Because if you live and you're married to Chinese, the same. We can discuss this after. Off record. No, the thing is, you can change a part of the package of the individual, not only to be taxable under the individual taxation, but under CIT's company taxation and corporate. So changing fiscal residency, why I say that some customers said to me, okay, I will go to Thailand. Yes, your wife is Chinese. So you need to prove, if you come back to China, you will need to prove then you had no idea and no will to come back to China. If you had will to come back to China, you can be challenged by the tax authorities. Here, fiscal leverage in China by relocation. Hainan, other places, level of IT is lower, possibilities, depend of your industry, depend of what you do. If you're in travel retail, probably, or want to do some R&D and be with the sun, probably. Some other company can be much more difficult to do it. And think, I did this part of this presentation, I started in October last year. Now we are much more shorter than 6 or 9 months to prepare, but quite 6. But it's very difficult now, and you need to, you're already in a path to prepare quite quickly to be able to face it when it will really, let's say, the second wave will happen. I give some just information about us quickly. Yes. No, this German. I can come back after if you want with the question. Yeah? Or come back now. You have but it's here, it's clear. Example 1, example 2. So I think because I need to pass just right after. I can come back later. I just explain to you because you don't know me, so I can explain everything I want, and it can be so very quickly. So China-based, myself, I'm in China since 23 years. We have activities since 2007 in Shanghai, Hong Kong also since a decade, We have an office also in Paris. We are part of a global network with the 16 in the world when you said Big Four, Big Five. 100 countries, 300 offices. I'm the cohesion director. So for this network, we work with different kind of industry, retail, technology, digital agency, etc. We do also accounting, finance advisory, audit, tax services, corporate management, etc. So just for you to give you, we don't come from nowhere. We are here since a long time. We work on the back seat, on the seat on the back of the car since a lot of years, but we know quite well this part. And I pass.
Sure. Thank you, Yvon. And yeah, is it working? Okay, great. So I'll be brief. So this is my name. I'm Jonathan Chapon. I'm the GM for Abacare. So we are insurance broker actually. So you might ask yourself why an insurance guy is coming to do a presentation here. Is simply to give you heads up on taxation related to insurance, because this is also a topic that I think most people, I mean, it's an expense for most people, in particular expat, actually is not a small expense for them. So I only have one slide, so it will be short. But the first thing to know in China, which is a good thing actually, is that the insurance premium are not subject to VAT or additional taxes. Okay, countries like Singapore, you have GST, for example, which is 7.5% of the premium. UK goes up to 12. I think France is a few percent. I forgot how much. But it means that all of the premium you're paying is actually net of tax. Okay, in mainland China. Individual health insurance premium. So we just talked about that with Yvon before, and the good news is actually doesn't fit into IIT yet. So it means that if you're paying if you are buying a policy in China, for example, for say medical insurance, then the premium you're paying will not be taxed under your IIT. However, this could change. Okay, so we don't know what will happen for next year, but it's a possibility that the actual premium that you're paying, whether you're under group policy or individual policy, is considered an employee benefit and becomes part of your taxable income. Okay, so it will be taxed. But once again, we probably will know in the next few months, I suppose, yeah. And the last thing I just mentioned is because it relates also to what we do and to the. I think in China there is also government support about insurance, and in particular, the government is. I mean, we're doing mostly health insurance, so we are in the healthcare space. So this is about health insurance. The government is actually offering tax deductible plans. It's very small amount, so it's 200 kwai deductibility per month, capped to 2,400 for 1 year. And there are very, very few products, frankly speaking, that qualify, and probably none of you will ever be covered with those products. But it's just to show that there are actually some thoughts actually from the government about how to incentivize people to get better coverage, because the social security is, a good layer, obviously, of protection, but it's limited. There is a lot of gap. There is a lot of limitations. Healthcare costs in top tier city are probably among the top 5 most expensive in the world right now. I mean, China become from, middle to a very a prime location when it comes to a healthcare cost. So they understand that there is a need actually to, encourage protection. So it's quite anecdotic, because frankly, no one is using that. And we ask insurance company, they don't even know themselves which product are eligible. So it's to say that no one, really use it. But it shows, I think, just a sign, hopefully we will see more of that in the future, more incentive actually as well in the tax deductibility, in particular for individual health insurance, which would be a really good move actually for people to get protected, and at the same time to reduce their taxable income. Okay, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. Just a quick snapshot. Do you have any questions regarding insurance? Sorry. Or maybe we come back to your maybe.
No, you can pass. You can pass from the question to us.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I prefer the question, so it's okay. I take the floor.
Yeah.
No, you both of us.
No problem.
Yeah, you had one. Yes, it's the first one. Interest, economic interest, yes.
The nationality. If some people get married with a Chinese wife or Chinese husband, and unless he or she obtained a permanent, permanent resident
It
card.
depends which kind.
Yeah, and otherwise they will not consider them as being domiciled in China, because their reasoning is that yes, there's a family link. That is if one day they get divorced, and the guy will have to leave China because they may not be able to renew his permit. So in that case, it's not a permit.
So this is not a point. It can be a spouse visa, so it's not a point. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah. So the reasoning of the tax officer is that even though the person is married, but if one day gets divorced, and he will not have work in China, and he will be, obliged to leave China. So for them, it's not a permanent status for tax officers. So they said in that case, it's not really considered as being domiciled. But I don't know. I think the practice and understanding varies depending on the regions and the districts even. Did you have
we have some
cases
and also some vision about it, which is very clear. Yes, what you said is true. It's true up to now, because the thing is, the authorities wait to have the system digitalized. As soon as digitalized, things will change, because they have no way to check right now. So up to now, it's true. It's why they said it's not clear. But the rule is very clear. Chinese and foreigners are at the same level.
You mean family link?
And you can see with things probably you faced off, but you have several regulations who changed the past 2 years. And for example, one for education, where Chinese who change nationalities, let's say one of the parents of a child with a foreign passport can go to the university. You have several rules like this. So the target, as I explained, is not foreigner. It's Chinese who change the nationality. That's the main target. So the point is, actually, the system is not in place. The digitalization of the system of control is not in place. But normally, for what I checked in December last year, it will be in place in July or August this year. But you will not feel it. Why? Because they will start the check and feed the machine. And things happen when foreigners will start to use the APP and put the system in place. I can give you some foreigners who work for Chinese company. They have the obligation to enter in the system, because you can decide to enter the system in 2022, but you can enter before that. And they already have reimbursement in 2021. And they checked if they have something outside. It's not scary. You need to be prepared about the rule. The thing is, we are used, myself, I'm here since so many years. The thing is, we are used to have a down top. So discussing with people at some levels to be able to find solution. The thing is, with this kind of system, we faced off last year with tax declaration for companies. The thing is, they said in 2018, it will not happen anymore, and we have a system with all the data cross-checked. It happens last year, and it changed our relationship with tax officers. My point is not because you put your hands on your eyes and nothing happens. So you make the check, and it's true. And I don't say the tax officer said is not real. The thing is, they don't have all this information. They know it's in process, and up to now, they have no way to check. So they have no way to control a foreign national. You probably know also that the system, we have the channel, but the e-channel database and the normal channel database will be cross-checked. They will check, they will put together to be able to know if you spend enough time in China to be taxable as a resident. It will be in place at the same time. You will have no need anymore to show your chop on your passport. No need. So all this cross-check happens, but you have this every day as Chinese, as foreigners too, but every day you see this cross-check of information with your Alipay, with whatever. This just only happens now to a corporate level. As we can check a social rating of a company or social rating of individual. In Alipay, you can check in a Gemma. You check and you see your number is the same. So the thing is nothing new. It's totally clear from the beginning which path will be used. So it's nothing different. Only thing we have the idea that it was always a special way for foreigner. But here is not only foreigner. It's foreign passports they will check. But foreign passport, it can be a Chinese at the beginning. So you can have a check. You have several rules who change. I said one for education. You have several rules who change that way. So when you put together, you see a path and a way it's going. So it's not scary. The thing is, thing happens. You need to be prepared and need to prepare if something change, good. Personally, I'm not sure it will be changed, because if it's that, it will be something the authorities pushed a lot from the beginning with this, no difference between Chinese national and foreigners. If they change that, change everything, no meaning for them. And you have foreigners here who are Chinese at the beginning and have assets also in China and outside China, or living outside China. That's why domiciliation first. And that's the last time. It's because here with the domiciliation, a Chinese who change nationality and still have assets here is taxable worldwide. No tax break. Domiciliation is no tax break. Residence is tax break. So residency here is tax break. Domiciliation is no tax break. So you marry two Chinese who have so for the green card is a little bit different because it depends the way you receive the green card. So if it's for family reason, you're totally in center of interest. If it's, for example, because of investment of the company, it's challengeable. You can discuss with the tax to say it's not center of interest. It's just and only for working. And assets too. For residency. Yes, 30 days in 6 years. This is what I show here. So you see here, the example here is the guy didn't, you see, 6 years, 123 days, okay? He didn't do this tax break. So normally, based on the rule, it can be considered as domicile. Resident. Yes, normally yes. Center of interest, economic interest. I have some who said, no, but some said that to me. The thing is they also have assets. So they need also to sell their assets. And there are also a green card. Guys, when you coach all of three, you're finished. So the thing is, you can say, I leave everything, or I find a way. Let's say I prefer to take the Chinese way. I try to find a way, not to leave everything. But both can be solved. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Sure, but you need to think about how his package is paid. You need to think about how we put his assets, etc., etc. You need to have a fiscal strategy. The thing is, the very big difference will start to happen in China, and I think not a lot of people see it, is we have tax advisor in US. We have tax advisor in Europe. The things we have nothing in China. Because before we said tax is like is a cowboy way, so everything can happen. But the thing is, now it starts to be like in Europe and US. That's no difference. And these people not living their life because of this. They start to think about the way they need to prepare it. So the thing is now is not facing the wall and find a way. You need to have a strategy about it. That's the big difference will start to happen. We'll discuss later. Yes, 15%. Yes. Yeah, sure. Risk. So we discuss a lot with the Hainan authorities. Okay, they also ask us to open an office there. And the thing is, up to now, normally you should pass more than 183 days. They think about have 90 days, but it's not, yes, to have 90 days there and to be able to be totally taxable in Hainan. But actually,
in 1 year?
no, because you have the 100 for the residency. Sorry, I have here, tac. You see, for the residency, normally 183 days. Okay, so for the Hainan authority, normally you should follow the rule, so it will be 183 days in Hainan. Normally, they think about 90 days, but the thing is not validated. The thing is mostly in discussion. Let's say in discussion. Yeah, normally yes, but I don't know good or bad thing. But Shanghai, but other cities prepare to have zone. also, to have zones, special zone, to have with a lower level of taxes.
And they make Jingan special. That would be really good.
The reason of the local one we can discuss later, but it's a reason for that. Yes, because it's difficult to address this subject clearly there, but I can explain to you why. It's not for the tax people, it's not for tax reason. I don't say anything.
Another question, and I will ask it now. So there are some rumors saying that actually Shanghai will extend the advantage of the free trade zone to the whole Shanghai. And then, if this is the case, then foreigners and even Chinese holding a foreign passport, they would be able to benefit from 15% individual income tax. And then this will come to lower down, the tax burden. And you will only have 15% individual income tax, but maybe you will have to pay tax on all the other allowance. So all in all, it could, balance the tax burden. So what do you think about those rumors?
I don't speak about rumors, but the things I can face off myself, I can say to you, you have some officials who work on that several zones in Shanghai to be able to accept foreigners with a level of tax lower level of tax.
District?
So far, for individual income tax, it was the responsibility of the company, and then it was paid directly, taken out directly. So for all the taxes which are related to overall revenue, but which is not salary, how does it work? How do you pay, and when? And how is the company involved in the responsibility about that?
Actually, same than Chinese. So the thing is, now soon the company will know the full taxable assets of the individual who work in the company, as the one who need to collect the tax. Company will still collect the tax. The thing is, at the end of the year, you have the declaration, and if it's discrepancy between what was declared by the company and the declaration of why they found out through collecting information through IT, etc., they will ask you to pay the differences. The way it can be directly to the tax or through the company later on.
So the company is going to collect tax on revenue which are not from the company.
It's already the case for Chinese.
Yeah, but I'm not Chinese yet.
Yes.
So
sure. No, but that's why. No, but for those who manage Chinese, they already know mostly their full way of living. It will be the same. So that's why I said is also when you assess the personal situation for people, for the human resources management, it will be you will face a big issue with foreigners because yes, but here the thing is the one who collects the tax is a company.
The expat got already tax exemption for the rental and for the school. The company already knows the personal situation. Actually, there's not much more private life information to be disclosed to the company.
Not for domicile. The domicile, I face off people you don't even know. They have several properties in Vietnam, in Thailand, in France, etc. You will know all of this.
Ah, okay.
So the company has actually access to already have
If you domicile, yes, because you will need to pay the tax anyway. So after the time you will face off, it will be the first year, so 2022. But after you have the field pedigree, all the pedigree of your employee. Yeah, OECD.
But property, no. Property. How can they find you have a property in Canada or in France?
They don't find. They don't need. Why? Because here, with the IORI, the system automatic exchange of information, they will check your bank statement. They will say, okay, you receive a rent. Show me your tax. Ask the bank. Ask the bank. I ask. They don't ask the tax authorities. They lose a license.
No, but the bank gives you the statement, doesn't give you the origin of the funds.
No, but you have the funds. So you can ask the people who need to be taxed in China to prove they pay what's the source of it. And
so savings.
And
I'm
if
not
you
going to say it's rent, of course.
No, you receive an amount for somebody else. So it's very clear that you receive a revenue or payment from a friend, but you will need to explain why you receive a payment from a friend every month. And if you receive it from a company who is managing assets, it happens in UK, we have customer, it's a company who manage all their assets and they send to them the cash. Very simple to check, very simple. You can automatize the system. And after they will come back to you and say, do you pay tax? Yes, they will not check your property, they don't have to. They will not check all the possibilities in terms of tax, they don't have to. They will ask you to prove you pay your tax for this amount and prove if it's not a rent or something, or for example, because you have tax on dividend, you have tax, it's not revenue from LBO, if it's not a revenue from action you just sold, stock options or whatever. They just ask you if you paid your tax on it. If not, they can apply based on the non-double taxation treaty, they can apply the difference. But most of the countries are lower than China. France, probably not. It depends. So the thing is, for me, it's wow. The web is good. It's very, very impressive.
Yeah, but this triggers another question. How familiar are the tax authorities at low level here? I mean, the tax offices with the application of a double treaty agreement, a double taxation
They're
agreement.
not. They will ask you if you paid your tax.
I don't know what it is because
but no, they will ask you the formula to show you paid your tax in this country, and they will apply the difference. That's it. They don't have to know anything else. They will apply the level in China minus what you already paid.
So they apply the TA, basically.
Yes, but I think in terms of math, they're quite good. They can just take out what you already paid. This is they can do. Even in a company level, they do. So I think in an individual level, they will be happy to do it. I think they will have no issue to manage this part. So the thing is, they will receive information directly from the system, as it happens now for the tax in the company level. They receive the information top down. Things is manage information. I process the information, I ask for the tax. So the thing is need to be, let's say, the mindset change. That's the real point. The thing is no exchange anymore. I asked several banks. We help a lot of Chinese company, less these past years because COVID, but to invest in Europe, okay? All the bank I ask, French, Italian, Spanish, etc. If China send you information through IORI to have the information, do you give them? Yes, all. Because they said it will do too much impact on our license. We can't. We give them this bank statement. So you process the bank statement, you have the info if you receive a revenue, poop, not declared in your app. What happens? I ask you, can you provide to me your payment of tax? Very simple. Process is not so difficult. At the end, when you have a good database. So I said AI is too big, but it's much more robotization. They process the information. So yeah, it's a shift of mind. And it's why everybody thinks everything will change, but the thing is, the process within the back actually is already validated, don't make sense if it's changing. It can change because it's not making sense. They will change for what? For a few foreigners who we already lost a lot. I think it's not make sense. The target, a part of the target, not only Chinese, but also the Chinese who change nationality. This is a big honeypot. They will not. No, I think because the system, with the database, they have no way to come back to 2019. So I think it will start with the first year of 2022. It's why it was very easy to give the buffer and said, okay, we will start for foreigner in 2022 because they knew they will have the system in place in 2021. They didn't apply totally from the beginning, but for Chinese, they start from the beginning, not for the foreigner, because they needed to have the time to prepare and to make the thing, put the thing in place. Makes sense. But for the taxes, they made the same for companies. So it's for, in our point of view, it makes sense. No, this, but it's the same than go to US. Go to US, you need to have a fiscal strategy for the people you attract. It will be the same for China. Yeah. Because I show several levels and historic. But this is only residency because most of they all calculate with residency. They don't, but in the rule is very clear. It's very clear about the domiciliation, and the rule said is both of them, foreigner and Chinese. So that's what. Oh yes, for sure. So when you have retention. You know why? No. No. The thing is, why? Why? We do presentations since October last year. To be honest, most of the company don't even think about it. They all think that things will change for foreigner. That's the point. So nothing's moved. The problem is 2022. If it's that, if it's not 40, it will be 50% of the foreigner will leave. That's the point. So the thing is, if you don't want to be in this place, it's now you need to manage this part. Because for retention and for the rest, you need to be aware that this can happen. Normally it will. It will.
No, it's not. It's not true. I mean, the cost of you cannot put your foreign kids in
similar for the rule.
Public schools.
The rule is the same.
You don't have the similar access to housing or investment, etc., etc. So it's already a different treatment for many things.
Yeah, but
so on the tax also it should be a different treatment, and this is why they made an advocacy paper with lots of arguments.
So they need to find ways. There will be some, as usual, in China, you have the rules and you have exceptions.
But not sure the exception, because you will not have the way to see which one is somebody who changed nationality with a part of the target. You can see, we can go to some offices, okay? And now in office, in a tax bureau or whatever, if somebody arrived with a foreign passport and said, okay, but I'm Chinese, and you change your passport, is your thing. So it's all the several rules who changed the past 2 years are very clear in the objective. No, it's not, because the rules is the same for everybody.
Yes, but the rule and the implementation of the rules.
I think
What if they see a massive outflow for
I think you already know the reply. Not sure. Not sure.
Not many. Not many.
No, but it's. Yes or no? Anyway, it's very clear that it's of Chinese development internally since several years. So it's always in the same. It doesn't change the way it's already written. So more foreigners, put Chinese at their place. So for sure things will change. That's the point, and this will have a big impact. It's true, but this will have a big impact. It will be a big point in a change, and we can feel the 2019 rule, but we will feel soon because of this reason. It's not only 2022. That's the real point. Is not only 2022 modification. Is also what happens.
And the figures between the number of Chinese people who change their nationality and the number of foreigners, I think the figures are just
no, but it's very
completely
simple.
different.
When you have Chinese who change their nationality, so the thing is in the domiciliation aspects, it's your need or your will to come back to China. If you keep assets in China, an asset is based on a hukou, because you can put a hukou on this asset. So for this reason, as you in a foreign country but keep an asset who have a hukou at this base, the base of the domiciliation, the hukou is the base of one. So the thing is, normally, even a Chinese who leave China is in US, for example, it should be taxable in China, in a worldwide level. So the thing is very smart, as they change the way to check, they make a double taxation without saying it. I think magnificent. They don't raise anything. So I have a customer at some point, he said, wow, we start to discuss, but didn't go in a deep detail. He said, it's great. We send Chinese in Singapore. I said, yes, so now they will be double taxable here. That's it. So you need to review their package, I think. So that's the things based on the regulation will happen.
So this new system will apply to the income earned in 2022.
The domiciliation is already since 2019. The thing is the system to control it is not in place. Allowances and bonuses will arrive in 2022 for 4 years.
Yes, but in 2019, then you have the 6 years grace period. So
no, residency, not domiciliation.
Okay, but if you domiciled, if you haven't got out of the country for 6 years, for more than 30 days every year, that's when you become domiciled.
No. Domicile is domicile. Is no application of the.
I know, but if you are tax resident here, You don't
have
go
those,
out of the
you have
country
this-
for 5 years.
You have
for,
the 6 years. You have
for
the
6
6
years.
years rules. Yes.
Exactly. Then, if you don't do that, you become domiciled.
Yes.
Or unless you're domiciled because you're married
So,
or for other reasons. Yeah.
Based on regulation, it is. If they will be much more flexible on it, I don't know.
So how do they?
But normally, that's the rule. Yes.
I don't understand. How do they explain the difference in treatment between a single guy, not married, for example, who's been here and benefits from the 5-year or 6-year rule, going out 30 days for his holiday in Europe or America, and he pays very little tax, only the tax sourced in China, and somebody who has the same kind of life, same kind of income, but is married to a Chinese, and then he pays on worldwide. How do they justify
We
this?
have all the good aspect of China and will stay and take all about the growth of China, so you have to pay for it. The other one will leave.
Same for the other one.
No, the other one will leave at some point after 3 years because you have a contract, or after 6 years or 7 years because you have a renew his contract, for example, for a détaché.
But you can leave too with your family. I mean, I don't understand the difference in treatment and the difference of why should I focus on somebody who has a family here and
but very
tax him
simple, like
worldwide.
in France we have the center of economic interest.
Sorry?
In France, you have the center of economic interest. It's the same. It's the same idea. It's the same principle.
A guy who's been working here for 15 years, but every 5 years he goes out for 90 days. So let's say, well, where is his economic interest? In China, of course. He's not paying taxes in his own country.
No, it's center of economic interest based on the rule, is muchly based on the Hong Kong. It's not.
It's not. There is an imbalance of treatment.
But for example, we had a case. The guy is totally resident, okay? No domicile. But you will receive in 2 months his certificate of property because he just bought an apartment here. But we find out another one who is still married, his wife is still in Europe, here since 20 years. He's not taxable because his center of interest is his family. Even if you have an asset here. Yes, because you can. Yes, you have some other rule on the back. You said it's buy a house only because he need to work for his company. That's the reason why. So it's oriented to his company, but not to his center of economic interest. Maybe yes, it's tricky, but you have tricky cases.
It seems to me that it's more tricky cases than the general rule because.
No, you have a rule, and after you have all of these possibilities. Because, for example, a green card, if it's because you have a lot of possibilities. So if it's family. You have a green card for family reason, center of interest. If it's because your company invests, you can leave. So probably not a center of interest. It's challengeable.
Okay.
In both ways.
I still fail to understand the rationale because if somebody works here, there's more to tax actually here rather than hitting a family that actually has more expenses than income. I don't know. I can't see the logic.
It's
the
not
logic,
me who do the rule, huh?
is to target Chinese.
I'm not the one on the back.
No, but there's no. I can't see maybe for any more information.
No, to say to them, they will need to contribute to the development of the country.
Or live for good, yeah.
No, the foreigner, but assets in China can be a base of the domiciliation because you want to come back here. You have 3 basic criteria with are very clear. The thing is, in these 3 criteria, you have possibilities of, you have not gray area, you have several possibilities. That's the point. Yes, green card. Green card is not one way to have a green card. So I have several possibilities to say if it's a center of economic interest or not. Yeah. Married, mostly is no other possibility. And have an asset and say for example, you have an asset. You're a foreigner, you're not living in China. You can challenge the tax and said, okay, but I don't want to come back. I rent it, but I don't want to come back. It's challengeable.
Yeah. Again, married, you have to apply for a visa though. So your center of interest is here. You pay taxes
worldwide,
but if you don't have your visa,
every
year, married or not, we don't care.
No, because normally you don't. Normally you don't lose your visa. You lose the visa in terms of working permit, but you can still, and the tax is very clear. The immigration is very clear with that. They will give you the possibility to have a spouse visa. You don't have the right to work. Not. I know. But no, you income abroad, you receive income, so you pay tax on it. It's not a problem to have cash from your income outside. You rent an apartment, you have cash. But you have so many foreigners for several years who have their income outside and have paid no tax nowhere. So the thing which is very clear is now you have much more normalization of it, and you need to have a more clear view about the strategy you need to have in term of tax. That's the real point. Because you can say to the tax office, no, I can say name, but you have some people who have all the activities, they have spouse visa here, all the activities are outside, they also have big revenue from their renting, but now it's not possible. You can say, I have no cash. You rent, you have no cash. Does that make sense? If you rent your apartment in Thailand, Vietnam, France, you have no cash. You're living here. We give you the possibility to live in here with a spouse visa. So the thing is, normally, the authority will not cut your visa and kick you out if you're married. They will give you the possibilities to have a spouse visa. If you leave, you leave. This is another thing. But it's not said, then you have no cash. And mostly if you rent assets outside.
There will be only one tax rate, I mean, which will be increasing whatever the nature of the revenues, or?
No, you have a tax rate so for the income, okay? And after you have tax rate for the dividend, and also if you depend for LBO as a way the cash come in your bank account, and you can check also about this. For the renting is another one if you sell also properties, etc. So it's not all the income tax level. It changed, but some will increase for sure your base, your taxable base. Is why the company need to know about it, because it's the company who declare it and the one to collect it to pay to the tax. Attraction, retention, for sure. So retention, it can be work from now. Attraction, it will be another case. I think it will be to be prepared for later. But for retention, I think if companies don't think about it, they will have a big move next year, and they will not understand why. No, normally the application for foreigner, it's December 31st. No, because normally you declare for the annual, and the annual is for 2021. So when you declare the first quarter through the app for the foreigners, it will be for 2021. But you will not have the allowances at this point, but you can have the domiciliation. You see here, 2021, but here, the annual bonus is already calculated, is still calculated on the way it is now. So they divide by 12, okay? But here, allowances is not. Because in 2022, the first quarter, you will declare normally 2021. Like you do in France, when you declare it's for the previous year. Same thing. So the app, when you register it, it's the same than you do your declaration, paper declaration in France. And you have a lot of people who use some tax advisor to help them for the declaration, to have a way to decrease their level of tax. It will be the same here. That's the things will start to happen. But when you will declare on your APP, and they find out, for example, then you declare everything because they will cross-check with the database. Okay? They said, okay, you're good to go because monthly, all your declaration monthly fit what you declare. If it doesn't fit, they have the right to ask you to pay the difference. And if you're not agree, you have the possibility to discuss with the tax and say, no, this one is for another reason. I should not be taxable for this part. But it already happens. The thing is, we have customers who are foreigners and they already register because they work for Chinese SOEs, etc. They need to register. They're already in the system, and they already face these things this year. So, and they ask them about some revenues, etc. But for sure, and as it was said, for their foreign revenue, actually they can. But soon, normally, it will be possible.
Yeah. I have a question that because just now you give the example that you say that when people have 30,000 per month salary in Shanghai and another 30,000 salary income in Europe,
yes,
and it's also, do you think if it's possible that they will regard the social insurance, I mean the foreigners' social insurance paid in France or in Germany, they regard that as a salary?
Normal, is it paid to their bank account?
No, it's not paid to their
If it's paid
bank.
directly to the insurance, normally I will say no. If it's paid directly to the company, to the insurance company, no, normally not.
Okay.
Because the thing is, they don't have the possibilities to check about your assets, to check about the tax you pay. They will not have access to that. This is why they use the way of OECD through IORI to have the information of your bank account. And this is enough information. This is what we do all the time when we do accounting. We cross-check between bank statement and movement. Same.
I also worry that just because our HQ are paying the foreign employees social insurance in France, and we are the same company. And finally, maybe one day Shanghai government will say, did you pay the social insurance for these foreigners or not? If you pay no, you say no, and then maybe they say, okay, you pay the Shanghai social insurance. I make an example. And if they say yes, and please provide, and why you don't pay this, if they will regard this as the salary you got in.
To be honest, we have customers in Beijing, in Suzhou, etc. They pay their social insurance, and sometimes they have an additional one in outside. I think, at least based on the rule, no meaning to do it. It will not based on this one. If it's down, it will not based on this one.
Okay.
From my point of view. But the thing is, if they pay to the individual, to this French bank account, to be able to pay the insurance by himself, this is a risk.
Yeah, for this one, we sure. Yes, we have the case, and we already calculated in the individual income tax.
But if it's not, if it's directly to the insurance company, normally I think they will not go to this because it's not the base of the rule anyway. So it's no meaning, not for this one at least, or I don't know if it's the one who can push them to do that, but I think it's not.
I just worry because it's also a big amount.
So one thing is not going through his personal bank account. That's the only point.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we already have information about the fine, the percentage on what would be applied?
Normally you have, I don't have it now, but yes, you have the rules about if you don't pay. But the thing is, I think for foreigner, what will happen, it will be a good face at the beginning. Anyway, you don't know the rule. And as I show, all the system up to now, but for what I heard, it will not change. Everything is in Chinese. So, but exactly. So the thing is, they don't, normally they didn't prepare to have something in English.
Yeah.
So,
but I will not thinking about the foreigners. I'm
the lack
about
of
the
declaration for the first year, I think, will be understandable.
In France, it's 15% if you're late or right.
Yes, but you're French.
Yeah. No,
and you speak and you can read the thing, etc. So I think for what we already check, normally they will be much more
No, of course I'm going to. Yeah.
Yes, because after you have the data, then they already kick you as one. Sorry for the term, but is that they will already remind you the rule once. Sorry, and
So
normally you should be
such
compliant
yeah,
after.
but the percentage is not said or written anywhere. There's no such
you
thing.
have some, but because for Chinese it's the same, so it's
Yeah,
it's
no,
based
I
on the
mean-
rules. Yeah, I don't have in mind.
Okay,
but
so
I can
it's
check.
what exists already.
I can
also.
check and set you.
Okay.
Set you.
It's normalization.
Yes.
Do you have any further?
Plus digitalization. That's the new things with not.
Any further question? If not, then maybe we can.
So you mentioned it earlier, but I want
Yeah.
to be sure about that. So I understand that so far insurance paid by the company is not considered as a benefit, so it's not taxed, right?
Or individual.
And it might change or what?
Normally, one of the few who will be also said clearly that we will take a decision in 2020.
To be followed.
Yeah, fine.
No, normally no IT, but they said there are 3 or 4 kind of expenses. They said they will take their decision in 2022 if they need to keep it as possibility or taxable. But it's not. It's clear. 2022 they will give their additional advice about the way to think about food.
So if you want to continue exchanging with our speakers, I suggest that we call it off and walk outside and have some drinks and refreshments. We know the objective of this workshop is to attract your attention on this fiscal reform and its implication on your personal and corporate situation, because that will have repercussion, and not only for talent attraction, but also for talent retention, as mentioned earlier. But there's some ways, so don't panic. Thank you.